There's a long Jewish tradition of putting a small stone on a loved one's grave, though we don't entirely know why. We do know that in Hebrew, the word for pebble is the same as the word for bond. But what if we can't find their grave?
In 1993, I visited this cemetery with my mother. This cemetery was literally a jungle, 6 feet high of foliage everywhere. You couldn't walk through it unless you were Indiana Jones with a machete, which we weren't, so we could just walk around the periphery. When we discovered that there were a few tombstones standing, including one of my ancestor, my great-great-grandmother's tombstone, I began to work to try and find out what did it say. When you read the epitaphs of some of these tombstones, they are literally poetry that tells you not just about the grief that the family was experiencing, but about what kind of a person this was. So what you think of as a place of the dead really is a Beit Chaim, a house of life. So you start to understand that these are not just dead people. This was a living community. And if there hadn't been a Shoah, it would be our obligation to take care of these places. And given that there was so much death, so much decimation, so many lost, for those of us who survived, for those of us who are in future generations, it's even more so our obligation to protect our ancestral memory and to care for them. If you look around this town, this is not a wealthy town. This is not a place where there are fortunes to be spent on extravagances or even on basic public works. So having an international interest was critical for them to see that people cared about it.
Myślę, że dzisiejszy dzień to jest niezwykły dzień w historii naszej gminy, gdy nastąpiło spotkanie ludzi, którzy połączyli swoje siły, żeby tutaj coś wspólnie zrobić na tym cmentarzu, żeby odnieść się do historii tego miejsca i rozmawiać o tym, co możemy jeszcze więcej zrobić w przyszłości.
A few years ago was a jungle. Today is once again, it was always a Jewish cemetery, I mean, it looks like a Jewish cemetery, that when we find partners, the impossible becomes possible.
Sometimes we say this when we uncover like a matzeva that might be laying face up in the earth, on the earth, and it might be covered with debris or something, and we gently clean it away, and then we see the inscription and the name and all that. We say, "Welcome back to life. Welcome back to the living," because this is every matzeva carries an inscription that is about the life of that person and how their family loved them and so forth. And so to bring that back to memory is probably one of the most important things I would say to that person is welcome back.
Learned that those places like Jewish cemeteries, that we have plenty of them in Lublin area, that they all, most of them are completely neglected and overgrown, and that also makes me angry, and I do not agree with that situation, and that motivates me to act.
Markuszów obejmował ludność wielokulturową i utrwalenie tej pamięci o wielokulturowości Markuszowa jest, myślę, że ważne dla nas wszystkich, żebyśmy cały czas mieli świadomość, że nie żyjemy w zamkniętym, hermetycznym kręgu, tylko coś poza nami również się dzieje. Ostatni członek gminy żydowskiej zmarł w latach 70. Był to jedyny Żyd zamieszkujący Markuszów po wojnie, ale uważam, że każdy z mieszkańców tej gminy, każda osoba powinna mieć świadomość, że utrwalanie tej pamięci, utrwalanie pamięci o zmarłych, o przodkach jest ważne dla nas.
Jestem tutaj, bo kocham naród żydowski, ale też z racji mojej funkcji w Konferencji Episkopatu Polski przez 10 lat byłem sekretarzem Komitetu do Spraw Judaizmu i w ramach mojej funkcji też uczestniczyłem w wielu odsłonięciach pomników na grobach pomordowanych Żydów. Dalej to kontynuuję, tym bardziej, że mieszkam w Lublinie, a większość grobów, takich jeszcze nie zidentyfikowanych albo upamiętnianych, to właśnie na ścianie wschodniej Polski. I dlatego tutaj jestem.
We organized Friends of Jewish Heritage in Poland, the idea being not just to protect this cemetery, but to be a non-profit organization, a responsible resource to help protect all of the abandoned Jewish cemeteries of Poland, as well as other sites of Jewish heritage in Poland. My name is Dr. Dan Oren, and this is my property story.